Hello, my dear children. Today we have a new lesson to learn. That is Unit 4 Work is Worship. From this page, we can see some pictures with dialogues. Let's read all the dialogues. Hello, friends. Come and enjoy the summer delights. No, we must collect food for the rainy season. Why bother about rainy days? We have plenty of food now. We have no time to play, we have to finish our duties. This is a conversation between grasshopper and ants. Why do the ants work hard? What do you think will happen during the rainy days? If you happen to see the grasshopper, what advice will you give? Let's find out all the answer. From below, we can see some pictures also. What are these people doing? They are working. Who does the work at home? The mother, boy, and girl work at home. Are all the members of the family responsible for the work here? Yes, all the members of the family are working. Today, we are going to start a new lesson, that is the grain as big as a hen's egg. This is an interesting story which is related to hard work. Farming is not merely an act of cultivating crops. It glorifies labor, helps to develop a concern for fellow beings, and brings about a perfection to human life. Read the story and realize the importance of farming and its impact on our life and culture. The first part is the discussion. One day, some children found in a ravine an object shaped like a grain of corn with a groove down the middle, but as large as a hen's egg. A traveler passing by saw it. He bought it from the children for a penny. He took it to the town and sold it to the king as it was a curious one. The king called all his wise men and told them to find out what the thing was. The wise man thought and thought, but could not make head or tail of it. A few days later, when the thing was lying on a windowsill, a hen flew in and pecked at it till she made a hole in it. Then everyone saw that it was a grain of corn. One day, some children found an object that shape was like a grain of corn, but it was large as hen's egg. A traveler passing by it, he buy that object for penny. A penny which means a part of pound. He took it to the town and sell it to the king as it was very curious one. The king called all the wise men and told them to find out what the thing was. The wise man thought and thought, but he could not make a head or tail of it. After a few days, the thing was lying on a windowsill. A hen flew in and pecked at it till she made a hole in it. After that, everybody saw that it was a grain of corn. The wise man went to the king and said, "It's a grain of corn." The wise man called the king and said, "It is a grain of corn." At this, the king was much surprised. He ordered the learned man to find out when and where such corn grew. The king ordered to the learned man to find out when and where such corn grew. After that, the learned man pondered again and searched in the books, but could find nothing about it. He read all the books that he knew, but he could not find anything about the object. So they returned to the king and said, "We can give you no answer. There is nothing about it in our books. You will have to ask the peasants or farmers. Perhaps some of them may have heard from their fathers when and where a grain grew to such a size." The learned man gave an advice to king, "You have better to ask about it for the fathers of the peasants, where a grain grew to such a size." So the king gave orders that some very old peasants should be brought before him. After that, king ordered very old peasants should be brought before him in order to ask him about the object. His servants found one such man and brought him to the king. After that, one old man went to the palace. He was old and bent, pale and toothless. He could just manage to totter into the king's palace with the help of crutches. The old man arrived at the king's palace with the help of a stick. The king showed him the grain, but the old man could hardly see it because he is too old. He can't see anything properly. He took it, however, and felt it with his hands. He cannot see properly, so felt it with his hands. The king questioned him, saying, "Can you tell us, old man, where such grains grow? Have you ever brought such corn or sown in it your fields?" But the old man was so deaf that he could hardly hear what the king said and only understood with great difficulty. The old man can't hear anything that king was asking. "No," he answered at last. "I never sowed nor reaped any like this in my fields, nor did I ever buy any such." He replied at last, "I never see like this before. When we bought corn, the grains were always as small as they are now. This corn is very big. The corn we bought are always small. But you might ask my father, he might know where such grain grew." The old man, the old peasant replied that, "You will better to ask my father. He might know where such grain grew."